As a Scrum Master, interpreting sprint reports is very, very important. And this is one skill that if you master so well, it will help you summarize what happened in the whole sprint. On today's video, my goal is to go over how to interpret JIRA sprint reports. And in this JIRA sprint report, at the end, I will show you all how you should describe each of those different statuses. We'll see later on in the video. Welcome back to Aisha Scrum. I'm very happy to have you join my platform. For my current subscribers and my new subscribers, I welcome you all. So now let's get into the video. So in order for me to see the JIRA sprint report, I have to come on the reports on my left-hand side here. I'm rolling around here. And I'll select reports. Then when I go to reports, by right, regular JIRA should also have a sprint report icon on here. But unfortunately, for my demo at home JIRA, I do not have the icon for sprint reports. And if you have this same issue at work, maybe your company is using the old JIRA, another place for you to see the sprint reports is under the sprint burn down chart. But for the most part, you should definitely have an icon to select sprint reports. You just select on that sprint report, and that will take you to that angle and you can do your sprint report. So, but in this case, for today's video, I'm going to be using the sprint burn down chart reports. I'll select on that. And under this report, it's going to show me everything that happened in this sprint. So first and foremost, for every JIRA report, at the top of the report is going to show you like little tiny summary of the burn down chart. In our case here, let me close this. And in our case here, it's showing me the burn down chart, what happened in the sprints. It gives you like the whole scenario on what happened in the sprints. And hopefully you've already know how to interpret burn down chart, because that's the basic. And if you do not know how to interpret the burn down chart, I already have a video on my channel on how to interpret a burn down chart for a beginner. So that you can watch that video and you can come back if you already know that already. So that's that. So after you burn that report, it's not going to summarize reports. You see here, it's saying reports at the top. This is for our sprint 27, and this is for our level 2 students. We do sprinting for students. So sprint 27, this is what happened, and it's giving me the reports. So the first thing foremost, JIRA is showing this star icon. So this star icon, anything you see this little tiny star icon next to the issue, regardless of any issue you have or PBI you have, this star icon is indicating scope change, right? Any story you added after the sprint started, right? That's a scope change, regardless if you have a story point on it or you do not have story points on it. Because if you look at this one, we did not have any story point estimation on it, but because it was a story that was added to the sprint, after the sprint already started, JIRA Max gave it the star sign. And whenever you see the star sign added to a story, so for you as a Scrum Master, you should know that, that's a scope change, right? So in this sprint, so what happened, right? So what happened? So looking at this sprint, we can hopefully, if you already know how to read the burn down chart, it's just simple for you to look at this. By the way, did this team had spillover in this sprint? And if you do not know this answer, then you really, really have to go back to the burn down chart basic channel, basic video, and watch that one. So the first thing foremost is identify the scope change, right? What happened in the sprints, you know. In our case, we had one story that was added to the sprint after the sprint already started. So next thing it's also gonna highlight is the incomplete issues, meaning spillover, right? Story that was not completed in the sprint. So all these incompleted issues is to summarize all the stories that was not done in the sprint. Then after that, it's going to now summarize completed issue, like all the stories that was completed. It tells you the type of story, if you already linked the epic, the status it is, and who completed it, and the story points. It tells you all of that. Another question I always sometimes get from people is, they ask them like, Aisha, what does it mean by issue completed out of the sprint? What is that, right? why does JIRA always sometimes have this label? By the way, if this content have been valuable to you, please subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers by next year of August. So kindly please contribute to this goal. So yeah, so issue completed outside of the sprint. Whenever you see this, it's saying that JIRA, when we, the Scrum Master, we study in our sprint, remember, we also select date and time, right? We have date and time. So any story that was closed outside of that time that we set up, outside of that time, JIRA will put it on that issue completed outside of the sprint. Because although you close that story, but maybe the Scrum Master did not close the sprint yet, but the time the Scrum Master had for that sprint already passed. So any other story you close after that time, JIRA will mark it under issue completed outside of the sprint. And to prevent this is for you. Yes, I mean, you Scrum Masters. When you have your team, as you are scheduling the sprint dates, do not only focus on the date. The time is also very, very important for JIRA, right? Because remember, all of this is like JIRA own automation of the day. They go by the day, right? So if you schedule that, let me give an example for some people that might be so confused by all of this, right? So let me tell you, what does this mean all over again in simple terminology and an example. Let's say, for example, you schedule your sprint from on a Wednesday at 9 a.m. till on a Thursday at 2 p.m. And we all know the end of our day of work is 5 p.m. on Thursday. And although you have some team members, they have last minute of closing of the tasks, right? And they know that their work ends at 5 p.m. But you, Scrum Master, you have your time at 2 p.m. If you do not adjust that time to reflect the 5 p.m., guess what? Any story that the team member closed past the 2 p.m. you put in the sprint date, it's going to mark those stories as stories that was completed outside of the sprint. So as you are planning to schedule the sprint on JIRA, also ensure that the time will also reflect on the actual time you close the sprint. If not, even the team members close their story, after that time, guess what? JIRA going to put it underneath here, even though they will give them credit that the work was done, but it's going to separate it from all the other. Because why is that? Why is that? Because remember, the time box is very, very important in Agile, and in Scrum, more specifically in Scrum, right? The time box is very, very important in Scrum. So if we as a team, we agree that we'll start our sprint at 9 a.m. on Wednesday and close it on Thursday at 2 p.m., then the goal is on Thursday by 2 p.m., all stories should be closed and done. But if your team do not close it at 2 p.m., guess what? And later they start closing at 3 or 4, it's going to start showing up here. So for you, Scrum Masters, to prevent that, if you know, which we all know sometimes, a lot of team members, they will close their ticket on the last day of the sprint, right? You know that sometimes some team members will do that. They'll close their ticket on the last day of the sprint. And if that's the case, or just ensure that you put the date towards the end of the day. Just extend the date, end of the day, so that everyone else will take credit for the work that was done. I hope going over the sprint reports have been very valuable to you all. If it is, subscribe to Aisha Tech platform. And if you're interested in mentorship, do not hesitate to email us at admin@aishascrumtech.com. Thank you all for watching. See you again in our next video.